This creepy video comes from a woman who collects haunted dolls, and what she captures here is enough to make even long-time paranormal viewers deeply uncomfortable. At first, it feels impossible, the kind of moment that makes you instantly stop, rewind, and watch again. Because whatever happens here should not be happening at all. So watch this carefully. At first, most people will jump to the usual explanations. Faulty wiring, hidden batteries, some kind of internal mechanism. But the moment you look closer and realize there are no batteries inside, the entire thing starts to feel far more disturbing. Many collectors who deal with haunted objects believe certain items can become vessels for paranormal energy, and dolls are often seen as some of the most terrifying of all. Because unlike ordinary objects, they have faces, eyes, human-like features. The kind of form that, according to supernatural belief, could make it easier for something unseen to attach itself, to watch, and even respond. Some collectors claim their dolls changed position, made sounds on their own, or appeared in places where they were never left. And that is exactly why so many people find them so terrifying. There is something deeply wrong about an object that looks human, but clearly is not alive. Something that can sit motionless for years, and then suddenly move. When no one is anywhere near it. It creates the awful feeling that it is no longer just an object, but something aware. Something present in the room. And moments like this only make that fear stronger. Because if there really were no batteries inside, then what exactly made it move? For now, this creepy mystery remains completely unsolved. After returning home from work one night, a man begins recording when a series of small but unsettling details immediately make the house feel wrong. He expected the usual quiet routine, but instead, the first thing he notices is his dog roaming freely inside, even though he always keeps it chained at night while he's away. The chain is still there, but somehow the dog has gotten loose, something he says had never happened before. Then he sees the bathroom light on, even though he clearly remembers switching it off before leaving. And as he moves farther into the house, he realizes the television is also on, quietly playing in the background, as if someone had been sitting there watching it. By this point, already disturbed by how many things seem out of place, he pulls out his phone and starts documenting everything.
Voy llegando a mi casa, plebes. Lo primero que veo es mi perro suelto, plebes, sentado tranquilo, plebes. El baño con la luz prendida que yo siempre cuando me voy dejo apagado, plebes. Y lo que más miedo me da, plebes, es que la tele está apagada. Si yo cuando me fui, plebes, vi que estaba prendida. Y esto es lo que me está dando mucho miedo, plebes, saber que las cosas no están como yo las dejo.
While he points out each detail, something else happens that many viewers miss the first time around. If you look closely at the cross hanging on the wall on the right side of the screen, it appears to move on its own. Moments like this usually divide people. Some believe there could be an ordinary explanation. Maybe the dog somehow slipped free. Maybe the TV powered on by itself. Maybe the cross wasn't secured properly. But others argue that when several strange events happen back to back in such a short span of time, it becomes harder to dismiss all of them as coincidence. There is, of course, another possibility, that someone entered the house while he was gone and left without being noticed, which in its own way may be even more disturbing than any paranormal activity. Either way, the man insists that when he left for work, everything was exactly as it should have been. So what really happened inside that house that night? Something explainable? Or something far more unsettling? I'll leave that up to you.
Que las cosas no están como yo las dejo.
For weeks now, a mother named Lauren and her daughter have been dealing with something deeply unsettling inside their home. Late at night, they keep hearing unexplained footsteps, quiet knocking, and other strange noises echoing through the house. The disturbing sounds have become so frequent that the family is beginning to suspect their home might be experiencing genuine paranormal activity.
It's just really weird. We just heard. What did you hear? Oh, you heard. I just heard knocking coming all the way down the hallway.
But I heard footsteps too.
You heard footsteps? Is that what it was? I heard that too.
The creepy disturbances continue night after night. Then one evening, while Lauren is alone in the kitchen, another strange noise suddenly breaks the silence. Feeling uneasy, she quickly pulls out her phone and begins recording, hoping to capture proof of whatever might be causing the unsettling events inside their supposedly quiet home.
Sarah, did you say you wanted a snack? You said you wanted a snack? Okay. You heard that?
Meow?
No, it sounded like that noise you heard earlier.
As the recording continues, something chilling happens. A faint, disembodied voice suddenly echoes through the house.
Can I help you do your biddings?
To this day, Lauren and her daughter still have no explanation for the terrifying events happening inside their house. But after hearing that unexplained voice and witnessing the ongoing disturbances, they are convinced that something unseen may be haunting their home. Back in 2023, an explorer named Antonio Park decided to investigate a long-abandoned hospital in Lima, Peru. The forgotten building sits deep in the woods, far from any nearby homes, the kind of place where almost no one goes anymore. Late one night, Antonio and a friend cautiously walk through the dark, dust-covered hallways, recording their paranormal exploration. That as they pass a locked room, something suddenly catches their attention. Through the small window in the door, they notice movement inside. Antonio leans closer, squinting into the darkness, but whatever is in there is impossible to see clearly. Hoping to reveal what's hiding inside, he raises his phone, shines the flashlight through the glass, and begins recording.
Oye, Ivonne, te lo juro que yo... Mira, en la esquina derecha, ven los ojos. ¿Qué mierda? Oye, ¿qué es eso, concha de su madre? Oye, la mierda, huevón, mi cuerpo.
¿Qué es esa mierda?
No sé, huevón, mi cuerpo está aquí. Ay, concha de su madre.
A la mierda, hermano, qué loco.
Oye, ¿qué es eso, huevón? Sí, huevón.
Ya deja de grabar, concha.
Oye, ¿qué es eso, hermano? ¿Qué es eso? La mierda, gente, huevón.
Qué picante esa huevada.
¿Qué hago?
As the light cuts through the dark room, Antonio suddenly notices something chilling, what looks like a pair of glowing eyes staring directly back at him from inside. The eyes remain completely still, as if someone or something is quietly watching from the shadows. Not wanting to risk getting closer, Antonio and his friend decide they've seen enough. They quickly leave the abandoned hospital, taking the disturbing footage with them. Whatever was hiding behind that locked door was never identified, and it may still be inside that eerie building today. But if you thought a mysterious presence inside an abandoned hospital was unsettling, the next clip might be even more disturbing. Nate, a man whose life has grown more disturbing with each passing day, ever since he unknowingly brought something home from the cemetery where he works at first, it did not seem serious. Just small things, easy to dismiss, easy to explain away. But over the past few weeks, that presence has turned his house into a place where he no longer feels safe. Nate began noticing that sharp objects, especially knives, would mysteriously go missing. Then later, they would turn up in places where he knows he never left them. And worse, they did not look dropped, they looked placed. Almost as if something inside that house was carefully positioning them, one by one. Then one morning, he finally captures one of those terrifying moments on camera.
So, I was just upstairs changing, and I heard a loud-ass crash down here. The dog ran down. She was in the kitchen getting water, and she booked into here from the kitchen, so... guessing it So I'm guessing it came from the kitchen. I don't see anything. Back door's locked. Let's see. No. 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 What is that? What is that in? Oh, that's stuck in there. Holy sh... That door's locked.
What makes this paranormal footage even more unsettling is what happens when Nate tries to get closer, that if you listen carefully, there seems to be a whisper. Some viewers believe they can hear the words, "I'm gonna get you." Others are not completely sure. But either way, whatever is heard does not sound friendly. After that, the fear surrounding his situation only grows. A lot of people begin telling him to try a different approach, something often suggested in hauntings like this, the ignoring method. He is advised to give whatever is inside the house as little attention as possible, hoping it will weaken, lose interest, or stop feeding off his reaction. So Nate gives it a try, but later, while explaining how that strategy has been going, something happens again.
So, I have been doing my best. I have been taking a conscious effort to ignore things when they start happening around the house. I will admit it's hard when they're happening like right in front of me, 5 feet away from me. I do take a second to just try to catch myself before I react. I have been working with not trying to engage with it, not talking to whatever it is. When things happen, I have, like I said, been taking a conscious effort to avoid it and just ignore it. Like some of you know, I have twins coming in September. So my main goal is to clear whatever energy, whatever it is in the house. I want it, doing my best to clear it out because I want to bring my twins home into a safe, loving environment where they don't have to worry about stuff like that. So any suggestions on what I can do to rid my house of this activity would be greatly appreciated. So if we can how do you ignore that? How do you ignore that?
Another knife. This time, it is standing upright, stuck directly into the middle of the floor, in a way that feels impossible to explain normally. And if that was not disturbing enough, there is something else in the footage, that a glowing light orb, moving across the floor, almost as if it is circling that exact same spot, like it is connected to whatever is happening there. And that raises a deeply unsettling possibility. Whatever is inside Nate's house may not just be moving objects, that IT may be revealing itself in pieces. Because if something can manipulate knives like that, if it can whisper, then this may be an intelligent haunting. Something aware, something reactive, and something capable of becoming much more dangerous. And that leaves behind one terrifying question. When you are dealing with something you cannot see and cannot fully understand, is confronting it really a good idea? You decide. A woman recently installed a motion-detecting security camera in the basement of her home, just as a simple precaution. Nothing unusual had ever happened there before, And on this particular day, according to her, no one was even inside the house. So when her phone suddenly sent a motion alert from the basement, it immediately felt wrong. No one had gone downstairs. Nothing should have triggered the camera. Still, curiosity got the better of her. She opened the footage. Take a look. At first glance, she thinks the small white object moving across the floor might just be a dryer sheet. After all, the washer and dryer sit just off to the left side of the frame. But that explanation quickly starts to fall apart. There's no airflow in that basement. The windows are made of sealed glass blocks that don't open, meaning there's no draft strong enough to push something slowly across the floor like that. And honestly, the movement itself isn't the most disturbing part. What truly frightened her was the sound captured on the recording. If you listen carefully, you can hear it faint. Deliberate footsteps echo through the basement, slow, heavy, followed by a deep, low growling sound. Something unnatural. Something that doesn't belong in an empty house. And remember, she insists no one was home when this creepy footage was recorded. Some paranormal investigators believe strange entities are often drawn to the lower levels of homes, basements, crawl spaces, quiet areas where activity can go unnoticed. Others warn the growling sounds and alleged paranormal activity are especially unsettling, often linked to something that isn't passive, and may even be aware of its surroundings. So if the house was truly empty, then what exactly triggered the camera in the first place? While checking security camera footage from his workplace, a man named Kyle noticed something strange happening inside the kitchen. One of his employees was simply walking through the room, doing nothing unusual, when suddenly, they reacted as if someone had reached out and touched them. The disturbing part? There was no one there.
We had some paranormal activity happen up here the other night, and I think I got something on tape. Let's check this out. Here comes my boy. Something's gonna push him on his left shoulder. Whoa. It was quick. Might not have seen it, but he's freaking out over here. He asked my buddy if there's something on him. Like an insect or something. No. So I felt like something just pushed me. That's what he told me. So, he's blown away. So we're gonna run this back a little bit. There we go. Now let's roll this frame by frame. See him walking. Alright, so coming up here, look over his left shoulder. There's going to be an orb, a cloud, so to speak, right here. Okay? Over his shoulder. Now, I'm going to go to the next frame and you can see that there's something over his shoulder. Next frame, it's gone. Frame after, he's looking back for it. What the hell was that? So now, just for fun, since I've showed you the breakdown, we're going to go back and we're going to watch it in fast motion one more time. And let's look. Let's see if we can find it. Here it comes. Orb. Oh man, crazy.
As the employee casually walks through the kitchen, he suddenly looks back, as if he physically felt something brush against his shoulder. But just moments before he reacts, the camera appears to capture something even more unsettling, a faint white mist-like anomaly forming directly over his shoulder. It lingers there for only a second, and then vanishes. And the exact instant it disappears, he turns around, clearly expecting to find someone standing right behind him, but no one is there. No coworker, no shadow, no one close enough to have touched him at all. So what exactly did he feel in that moment, and more importantly, what or who reached out to touch him? A man is hiding underneath a long table, covered with a white tablecloth, pressed low against the floor, with his phone pointed out from beneath it. His breathing is loud, shaky, and almost impossible to ignore. He does not speak, he does not move. He just lies there, eyes wide open, completely terrified, like something in the room is already too close. Watch closely. From a bright doorway in the distance, a figure wearing a long white gown slowly steps into the room. It appears barefoot, stiff, and unnaturally calm, moving in a way that feels just slightly wrong. The man stays frozen under the table as the figure crosses through the darkness behind him. Then the audio becomes even more disturbing. A frantic, high-pitched giggle echoes through the room, almost childlike at first, but within seconds it twists into something much darker, rising into screams and a deep, guttural roar, just before the video cuts to black. Some viewers believe the childlike laughter and the white-robed figure may be two separate presences, one trying to lure him out and another moving through the room. Others think the sounds at the end might not be coming from the figure at all, which somehow makes the clip even worse. So what was really inside that room with him, and why was he hiding under that table in the first place? A man named Nate has become the focus of a long and deeply disturbing haunting that over time seems to have only grown more aggressive. For months, he has recorded objects moving on their own, utensils being thrown without warning, and faint whispers that seem to come from nowhere. His kitchen, in particular, appears to be the center of the activity. Things there don't just fall over. They are hurled, as if something unseen is deliberately trying to make itself known. Viewers who followed Nate's story have watched the escalation happen in stages. At first, it was small disturbances, quiet taps, slight movements, the kind of things people might dismiss. But later, knives and scissors were sent flying across the room with enough force to feel intentional. One morning, Nate's dog suddenly became restless, pacing and staring toward the kitchen, as if reacting to something Nate couldn't see. Then a loud bang shattered the silence, and for someone who hasn't known peace in his home for months, his first instinct is no longer to explain it away. It's to investigate.
Alright, so I just heard something. I don't know where it was coming from, either the basement or the kitchen. Not sure where, but it sounded like a bang or something. The dog is reacting to it, so not sure what that was. Is that the wall? I don't know what that was. What the? Okay, those were there. door's locked.
From the right side of the kitchen, a metal object suddenly shoots through the air. You can see it clearly, catching the light as it crosses the room before slamming violently into the sink. What makes the footage especially unsettling is that this isn't an isolated event. It has happened before, and that raises an even darker question. Is whatever's inside the house simply trying to frighten him? Or is it testing how far it can go? This time, though, viewers weren't only disturbed by the movement. Some who raised the volume all the way up near the end of the clip believe they heard something else. Just one word, Daddy.
When you're sitting on a Sunday morning, having a cup of coffee, and you see all I can describe as a dark smoke or mist or cloud or something come up the basement stairs and move into the kitchen. Back door is locked. Both locks. You came up from the basement. Like right down there. Hello?
And then, on another Sunday morning, Nate captures something even more disturbing. This time, faint whispers can be heard again. But unlike before, some viewers believe the words are easier to make out. According to some listeners, the first whisper sounds like, "Why don't you like me?" Followed by, "Can't you hear me?" If that's really what was said, it changes the entire tone of the haunting. And once again, it happens in the kitchen. On another day, Nate suddenly hears heavy stomping coming from the floor above him. Loud, deliberate footsteps, like someone is walking around upstairs, except Nate is completely alone in the house.
This entity or whatever, this ghost, whatever's in my home, spirit, sure is making a hell of a lot of noise tonight. I was upstairs, just getting ready for bed. So I gotta be up at like 3:30 in the morning, 3:30, and it sounded like a friggin' herd of elephants down here. It was insane. Front door's locked. The back door's locked. That was insane. That was it. What the was that? See what I mean? It sounds like a herd of elephants. Holy shit. Okay. I could have swore that was shut. I could have swore that was shut. I tripping or what?
Some viewers believe the sound could be linked to the same unseen force that appears throughout several of his recordings, possibly the same presence behind the violent activity in his kitchen. In paranormal cases, sounds like this are sometimes associated with residual hauntings. Events that seem to replay, like echoes trapped inside a structure. But what happens next makes the entire situation feel even more disturbing, because the next time Nate captures something unusual, it happens during the day.
So I was just working out and saw a black mass or shadow dart across, like from the landing of those stairs that way, and then went around that corner towards the basement. I didn't hear any steps. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I was facing this way, lifting right here, and just saw it out of the corner of my left eye. Okay, let's see. It like went down, across this way. Hello? That door's locked. So is it? What's that? I swear sometimes it's more active in the daytime. Hello? This.
As Nate approaches the basement stairs and calls out hello, a faint voice seems to answer back with what sounds like, "Hey, you dead, it's quiet," but once you notice it, it becomes hard to ignore.
Hello?
This isn't the first time viewers have picked up on a soft voice in Nate's footage. Some believe it sounds like a child, which to them might explain the chaotic way objects are scattered through the kitchen, almost like something small is playing with things when no one is looking. Others argue that the tone sounds more like a woman's voice, possibly the spirit of a former resident still lingering inside the house. But when you remember the marks Nate has woken up with on multiple occasions, marks that look much more aggressive than playful, a lot of people begin to rethink those theories. Because if something in that house is capable of leaving physical marks, then it may not be harmless at all. On another night, Nate is lying in bed when he suddenly hears what sounds like someone running downstairs. Thinking an intruder may have entered the house, he gets up to check, and that's when this happens.
There it goes. I just heard running, coming from down here. I was upstairs laying in bed, and I heard sound like somebody sprinted. What the sound like somebody sprinted from the front door through the kitchen. Front door's locked. My doorbell came and didn't go off, so nobody came in. That was moving when I came down. That's weird. There's nobody down here. Like, nobody down here. Nobody here. Check the back door. Locked? Locked. Like, what the hell? How do you explain that? I need to get out of this house. I got twins on the way. We'll be here in September. I'm not gonna raise them in this house with this going on. It's still moving somewhere too. Freezing down here too. Freezing. Ooh. It just slid towards me.
By the time he reaches the bottom of the stairs, the house appears completely empty. No intruder, no open doors, nothing visibly out of place. But if you listen carefully, that same faint voice can once again be heard somewhere in the background. It's difficult to tell exactly what it says. And that's why viewers have been debating it ever since. Some are convinced the voice says, "Leave here." Others believe it says, "We're here." Because of that, Some viewers believe whatever is in the house may be tied specifically to that part of the home. Point one theory is that it could be the spirit of someone connected to the property's past. Someone who once lived there and now feels ignored or forgotten. Others believe it could be something much darker, something pretending to sound weak or vulnerable in order to draw sympathy and attention. A man named Marvin is walking home after a late night event, around 12 a.m., somewhere in Santa Cruz. As he records the street, showing how strangely bright and empty everything looks at that hour, something suddenly catches him completely off guard.
¿Qué onda, amigos? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bueno, quería compartir con ustedes cómo se ve Santa Cruz Porrillo a las 12 de la noche. Comentarles que ahorita vengo yo de una cobertura de un trabajo y quería mostrarles acá un video de cómo se ve Santa Cruz en la noche. Escucho algo ahí feo. Un caballo escucho por aquí. Un caballo. Escucha. Aquí lo escucho ahora. Aquí asustan en Santa Cruz. Aquí asustan en Santa Cruz. Vuela, yo me voy mejor para la otra. Pues señores, que asustan en Santa Cruz, asustan en Santa Cruz. No salgan. Bueno, cuida. Oigan, que asustan. Oigan los chuchos.
As Marvin keeps walking down the road, a strange sound suddenly breaks the silence. Something that sounds eerily like horse hooves striking the pavement. And whatever is making that sound seems to be getting closer. But when he turns the camera and scans the street, there is nothing there. No person, no horse, no clear source for the sound at all. And then, just as the noise grows even louder, the dogs in the area begin howling and barking all at once, as if they are reacting to something Marvin cannot see. Marvin still has no real explanation for what happened that night. But what do you think was following him through that empty street? Let me know. A man who lives in a remote wooded area somewhere along the Middle East coast often goes out alone to train in the morning or night. It makes no difference. He's used to working out in total isolation, far from other people. But during one late night session, something changes. Without warning, the entire area falls completely silent, and the sudden stillness immediately feels wrong. Out of nowhere, the woods seem to shut down. No movement. No distant sounds. Nothing. The silence is so unnatural that even he stops in place, almost instinctively, as if he can sense that something nearby isn't right. His first instinct is to run, but something tells him not to, and that may have been the smartest decision he could have made, because not long after, he realizes something is watching him from the darkness. According to his description, the creature looked somewhat like a black bear, but at the same time, more like a dog with a shape that didn't seem normal at all. Because of that unsettling detail, many viewers believe this may have been a possible dogman or cryptid sighting. Whatever it was, paranormal or not, the most chilling part may be how the forest suddenly went silent, as if everything around him knew it was there. This scary video begins like something completely ordinary. A young man casually showing off his football skills while a friend records him. At first, nothing feels unusual, no tension, no warning, just a normal moment between friends. But if you pay close attention, there is something deeply unsettling hidden in the background. Something that appears so briefly, it would be easy to miss. Watch carefully.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Did you see it? Look again. As the young man kicks the ball, the camera briefly swings toward a nearby bridge, and for just a second, something terrifying comes into view. A figure. One that looks like a ghostly woman, standing there in a way that feels completely unnatural. She appears for only a moment, but when the camera returns to that same spot just seconds later, she is gone. No downtime, no obvious place for anyone to hide. Viewers were quick to point out how unnaturally still the figure looked, and how impossibly fast it seemed to vanish. Whether this was a real ghost caught on camera, or just a disturbing coincidence, is impossible to say for sure. But what do you think this frightening footage really captured? This next clip was captured on a man's Ring camera late at night, and ever since he reviewed the footage, he says he hasn't been able to look at his front yard the same way again. What the camera picked up is brief, but unsettling enough to turn an ordinary outdoor space into the kind of place that suddenly feels wrong after dark.
Caught this on my Ring camera last night.
The movement begins near the edge of the frame, and the first thing that stands out is the way it travels. It doesn't drift like ordinary dust caught in infrared, and it doesn't scatter the way pollen or a bug usually would near the lens. Instead, it seems to hold a defined shape, almost compact, as it glides forward. The outline stays strangely consistent, moving along a controlled path before slowly fading from view. A lot of viewers suggested it could be something normal, but the form doesn't behave the way typical particles in night vision footage usually do. And then there's the audio. Faintly in the background, what sounds like a little girl's voice can be heard saying, "We're here." The footage was recorded at around 3 a.m., a time when no child should realistically be outside playing in someone's yard. Some paranormal investigators warn that entities may sometimes imitate children's voices to appear harmless, drawing curiosity instead of immediate fear. And that's what makes the phrase so disturbing. Not "I'm here," but "we're here." If it's just an audio glitch, then it's an incredibly eerie one. If it's a real child somewhere off camera, then why does the voice sound so unnervingly close to the microphone? And if it was neither of those things, then what exactly floated across that yard that night? Because if the voice really said what it seems to say, then the question may not just be what was there, but how many? This scary video was filmed at Pithursker Castle, a historic place feared not only for its striking old architecture, but for the chilling paranormal legends that have clung to it for decades. Built back in the 17th century, the castle has long been tied to reports of haunting activity. Visitors and locals have described unexplained footsteps echoing through the halls, sudden freezing cold spots, and terrifying sightings of a ghostly woman dressed completely in white. According to local legend, that presence may be tied to tragic events buried deep in the castle's past, as if some dark part of its history never truly left. In this footage, a man and his friends decide to explore the castle for themselves, hoping to uncover something real. But as they move through the building, they begin to feel something deeply unsettling, the constant sense that someone is moving through the rooms with them. And instead of brushing it off, they decide to test that fear. Once outside, they set up their camera to capture a clear view of the castle's windows, and what they record is hard to ignore.
Турецкий замок. Дивіться, яка краса. Супер. То колись архітектура. Ух, ніфіга собі. Андріана! Андріана! Що?
In the footage, a white figure can be seen moving past one of the castle windows. It is brief, but disturbing enough to leave a lasting impression. After the video was shared online, other people who had visited the castle began coming forward with their own creepy experiences. Stories of seeing similar ghostly figures, hearing strange, unexplained noises, and feeling an overwhelming paranormal presence while inside. So if you have ever visited this haunted place, let me know what you experienced in the comments. Jose is exploring a reportedly haunted hospital at around 6:40 in the morning, a time when a place like this should be completely silent. But as he records, steady movement can be heard from somewhere deeper inside the building. These aren't random settling noises or faint creaks. They sound more deliberate, like something shifting or possibly walking through the structure. Jose stops and listens carefully. And then, just as suddenly, the sound cuts off, leaving behind a heavy silence that feels even more unsettling.
Shit, madre.
A moment later, he slowly turns the camera toward a corridor ahead, and that's when something strange appears. A pale, mist-like shape seems to pass across the hallway from one side to the other. And almost immediately after, a door at the far end suddenly slams shut with force. The moment is clearly captured on camera. The movement looks too defined to dismiss as dust or a trick of the light. And there's no obvious reason for the door to move at all. With no visible person nearby and no sign of wind inside the building, the scene feels less like coincidence and more like a possible paranormal encounter. After witnessing that, Jose doesn't stay much longer. Not long after capturing the footage, he decides to leave the hospital entirely. In this scary video, a man decides to finally document the terrifying paranormal activity that seems to follow him whenever he stays late at work alone. And what makes it even more unsettling is the pattern behind it. According to him, nothing ever happens during the day. Not when the office is busy. Not when people are talking. Not when noise fills the building and every room feels alive. It only begins after everyone leaves, when the office turns silent, empty, and still. On some nights, he hears faint tapping sounds coming from somewhere inside the office, soft little knocks, like fingers lightly tapping against wood in the dark. And little by little, the feeling grows worse because it no longer feels like he is alone in that building. It feels like something is standing just out of sight, watching him.
Kalau masuk, nggak usah main-main pintu. Tutup lagi nyamuknya. Ngapain? Ya Allah, makin iseng aja lah. Astagfirullahaladzim. Udah duduk yang bagus. Hey.
Then, the door slowly begins to creak open on its own, inch by inch, with no one there to touch it. And what happens next is even more disturbing. A face suddenly appears, not far away, not hidden somewhere down the hallway. Right there, moments like this are what make haunting footage so terrifying, because they suggest that whatever is causing the activity is not some distant presence drifting through the building. It is inside the room, moving through his space, close enough to see him, and maybe waiting for him to notice. A couple runs one of the most haunted hotels in the United States. Over the years they have shared security footage, guest recordings, strange photographs, and even old newspaper clippings, all connected to bizarre activity inside the building. Some moments might have ordinary explanations, but others are much harder to brush off. In the first clip, a hallway security camera captures one of the owners walking past a closed door, and at first everything looks completely normal. But then your eyes catch the rope hanging from the door handle. With nobody standing near it, the rope suddenly begins to swing on its own. The hallway is empty, the door is closed, and there is no clear reason for it to move at that exact moment. The next clip takes us upstairs, into the attic, and into a room the hotel calls the Disappointments Room. According to the building's dark history, sometime in the late 1800s, a child was allegedly hidden away in this room by his own parents, locked out of sight because they were ashamed of him. Inside the room is a smaller door, believed by some to have been used to keep him confined. Whether that story is completely true or not, the backstory alone makes this one of the most disturbing areas in the entire hotel. Later, during a self-guided exploration, two guests walk through one of the hallways with their camera recording, and suddenly they capture something chilling. Out of nowhere, a small voice, sounding unmistakably like a child, softly says, "Hello?" What makes that moment so unsettling is that no child can be seen anywhere nearby. The hallway appears empty, and the guests seem completely caught off guard by what they just heard. But things become even creepier when the group reaches a room the owners call the doll room. As one of the women reaches inside to turn on the light, she suddenly pulls her hand back, claiming that something touched her. The entire group panics and rushes away, but in the chaos, the camera catches something else. In the corner of the frame, one of the dolls appears to slowly turn its head. And if dolls moving on their own was not already bad enough, another clip shows visitors walking past a piano sitting in the hallway, when without anyone touching it, the piano seems to make a sound on its own, as if something unseen wanted their attention. The owners also shared a photograph they claim was taken inside the attic. In the background, a faint figure resembling a child can barely be seen, and they believe this presence may be connected to the spirit tied to the Disappointments Room. Another photo, reportedly taken by a guest, appears to show a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothing. The owners call this apparition the Haunted Bride, and they say multiple visitors have spotted her over the years. What makes the hotel's story even harder to dismiss is that newspaper articles from the 1990s were already calling the building haunted, long before social media made stories like this easy to fake for attention. These reports did not start with one viral post. They have been around for decades. And then there is Eddie, a doll the owners say moves from place to place without anyone touching it. Individually, some of these moments could be explained away, drafts, reflections, camera glitches, or strange timing. But when you put everything together, the security footage, the child's voice, the the moving rope, the doll room, the old photographs, the newspaper history, and the same areas being active again and again, this hotel starts to feel genuinely unsettling. So is this place truly haunted by the spirits of those who never left? Or is there still a rational explanation hiding somewhere inside its walls? You decide. An urban explorer steps into an abandoned house expecting the usual silence, decay, and that dead stillness that clings to places forgotten for years. But what his camera captures inside turns the entire experience into something far more disturbing than he ever expected.
¿Hola? ¿Qué? Niño, ¿qué chucha fue?
Inside the house, he spots what appears to be a child moving around, casually playing with a ball. And that alone is deeply unsettling, because a moment like that should not exist in a place showing no signs of life, no electricity, no activity, no evidence that anyone has been living there at all. And even if you set the paranormal aside for a second, the situation is still horrifying on its own, because seeing a child inside a deserted house immediately raises questions with no easy answers. Where did the child come from? How are they surviving there? And why are they alone, inside a structure that looks completely abandoned? Naturally, the explorer begins searching the area, checking rooms, corners, and every place the child could have gone. But there is nothing there. No trace, no explanation. And then, after leaving the house, something appears again.
¿Alexito? No, que yo sepa nadie tiene llave, si está abandonado.
¿Esa silla estaba ahí?
No me di cuenta de la silla, gente. No, si hemos bajado y no había ni una silla.
¡Ay, Alexito! ¡Uy, qué verga era eso! ¡Uy, mano! ¡Uy! Hermano, había una cabeza peluda. Ten cuidado. Déjalo aquí, a ver, déjalo aquí de nuevo. Déjalo ahí. Había una cabeza peluda allá, Alexito. Hola, buenas noches. Buenas noches. ¿Hay alguien aquí? Alexito, ¿aquí cuidan?
This time, a figure briefly peeks out. Only part of it is visible, but there is no mistaking that something is there. And what makes this entire encounter even more disturbing is the condition of the street itself. It seems that several houses in that area have been abandoned, each one empty, each one silent, but maybe not completely without presence. At that point, it stops feeling like one isolated, creepy moment and starts feeling like a pattern, almost as if every house on that street is holding on to its own unexplained secret, something hidden just out of sight, but close enough to be noticed. And when you look at it that way, it becomes easier to understand why no one lives there anymore. Because even without clear answers, the atmosphere alone feels wrong enough to drive people away. The explorer says he plans to contact former residents, hoping to uncover what may have happened inside those homes, and whether there is some dark history behind what he experienced. But for now, the footage leaves behind more questions than answers. Was that really a child? Or was it something else? Something using the image of one to seem less threatening? And if every abandoned house on that street is hiding something, then what exactly happened there? For now, this terrifying mystery remains unsolved. This creepy video was recorded by a mother who had started feeling something she could not explain. A sudden, crushing wave of anxiety, hitting her out of nowhere while she was home alone with her baby. At first, there was no sound, no movement, nothing obvious at all, just that heavy, instinctive feeling that something was wrong. On this particular day, it was only her and her son in the house. They were sitting together peacefully, watching a movie, and for a moment, everything felt completely normal, until one small detail caught her attention. The bathroom door. The last time she had noticed it, it had only been slightly open. Now it was standing wide open. That quiet little change was enough to send a chill through her. And instead of ignoring it, she grabbed her phone and started recording. Watch closely.
Please go away. Please go away. You're not wanted. Go away. Whatever you are, go away. Oh my god. I am so scared right now. Please go away. You can't be spooky. Spooky? Psst, 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 psst. Spook? Moo?
At first, nothing unusual seems to stand out. Everything looks still, ordinary. But later, when she reviews the footage, she notices something deeply disturbing that she completely missed in the moment. Right near the bathroom entrance, a dark, shadow-like figure appears for just a brief second, moving so quickly that it is easy to miss unless you are really paying attention. And that is exactly what makes it so unnerving. Some believe this could be a shadow entity, the kind of paranormal presence often described as appearing in quick, fleeting movements, especially when someone already feels that intense sense of dread. But whether this was truly a ghostly figure, caught on camera, or something else entirely, I'll leave that to you. This creepy video was caught on a family security camera, while the wife was casually filming, completely unaware that something disturbing was happening just behind her. This is the same family we talked about before, the one whose paranormal nightmare seemed to begin after they used a Ouija board as a joke, never believing anything real would follow them home. But ever since that night, the atmosphere inside the house has felt wrong. Doors slam on their own, crosses hanging on the walls shift for no clear reason, and the frightening activity has not slowed down. If anything, it has only gotten worse. Then one night, while she is recording, something happens that makes the haunting feel even more real.
So Maura just fell asleep in her little walker thing, her little jumper, and she looks so peaceful. I don't even want to like move her, but it's bedtime, so I'm gonna have to get her out of there so I can put her in her crib. But look how cute she looks snuggle with her little blanket. What the? What the f was that? Dude, what the f? Guys, what the f is that? Dude, one more thing moves and I'm out. What the?
If you watch the TV stand closely, the first strange detail appears almost immediately. The slippers shift slightly, and then only seconds later, the remote suddenly falls to the floor. No one touches it. No one is anywhere near it. And then comes the most unsettling part of all. A growling sound. Low, unnatural, and completely out of place, like something unseen is right there in the room, close enough to hear, but not close enough to see. For her, this terrifying moment seems to confirm the fear she has been trying to push away, that whatever entered their home may not be a harmless spirit at all. Her husband still wants to believe it could be some restless ghost simply trying to get attention, but she is no longer so sure. Because paranormal activity like this often follows a pattern, and whatever made that sound did not feel passive. What makes the situation even more disturbing is what they were later told after asking for help. If this is truly an attachment, then leaving the house may not end it, because whatever is haunting them may not be connected to the house at all, that IT may be connected to them. And now they are trapped with a terrifying choice. Try to cleanse the house, run from it, or face the possibility that this is something they may never escape. So what would you do?